Well, here's the dilemma. If you haven't been watching my videos on what I've been going through to try to make these repairs on this deck, then you need to watch those videos, because this is an extension of that. I'm not going to make the repairs just yet, and everybody who's watched my videos so far on coming up to this point, the reason why I'm not going to do any repairs just yet is because I may not be the responsible person and party who needs to do this. This house, we purchased this house just recently and found out after we moved in, after everything's closed, that we have a major issue now on these floor tiles and the flooring underneath this that holds this deck together. Now, I've already gone through, and hopefully you can get a chance to watch those videos. I've already gone through explaining how I got underneath this floor, because I can access this area now. It's going down the stairs, and I looked for access, and I walked underneath the house because there was no access anywhere else. And I got over to this wall over here, and the plywood was on there. I could not access this deck area, this whole section, or underneath the stairs or anything. Even though that the stairs are built in, we've got a stucco wall here, we've got a stucco wall right here, we've got a stucco wall on the outside, there's stucco there and over there going down. Could not access this area, so I cut a hole in here. Then I could only access up to this line. There was a wall that was built underneath here, and that had OSB paneling on it, and it was all framed up properly. This whole area here had I-beam floor joists. They looked in really good shape. This house is 17 years old, really good shape. The OSB plywood under here, it's really excellent shape. But this wall, there's a wall underneath here, and the I-beams only go to the top of this wall, and then it comes up and makes this floor. And I could tell that the I-beam stopped right here, and I couldn't access this area here, so I knew this area here had to be framed differently. So I got out my Sawzall, cut another hole there, and it had stucco on it on the back side. I'm like, what's going on with that? So I pulled the plywood off, cut that off with the Sawzall, pulled that off, beat all the stucco through, chopped the chicken wire off there. And on this side of the wall, over here, that stucco goes all the way down. It's pre-finished, just like the stucco on the house. It's pre-finished, just like that over there. There, continues beyond that post there, continues all the way through over here. It was painted. It was even painted. That told me that they built this all by itself, and what I saw down there, I was shocked. We got 2x6s, floor joists that go out that way, OSB plywood that comes out on top of this. The 2x6s have failed in this area. It's all water damaged under there. There's mushrooms growing on underneath of the plywood on the 2x6s. Underneath the stairs are 4x12 stair treads, and the risers underneath there was all, looked like it had moisture under there for 17 years. And the plywood here has failed, and the 2x6s along in here dropped down. No joist hangers on the 2x6s in here, nothing. And so I know this area was not built at the same time this was built, and this probably has a water barrier underneath here. My guess is the water barrier stopped right there, and I don't think there's any water barrier here. There couldn't be, because all this plywood under here that's supporting all this, it's all moist. You can see all the moisture and how it's failed, and how it's kind of bowed down. And the 2x6s, like I say, don't have any ceiling, don't have any joist hangers on them. The stair stringers that go down, they're supported off of something over here where the 2x6s don't go down all the way down to the ground, and that's all water damaged over there. And so the question becomes, who is responsible? And there's a couple things you can do. We're going to have to go back to the the closing statement, and I don't think there's anything in there that was disclosed that this area was built separately than this deck here. And that tells me a couple of different things. Now that this has failed, I don't think this area was ever inspected by any inspectors. I think it was built at the last minute. Maybe they decided, oh, hey, let's extend this out a little bit. Let's put some stairs down there so we don't have to walk down the stairs all the way down to the side of the house on the exterior from the garage on down to the backyard. Instead of having a rail like this right here, let's leave this rail out. And then let's extend the deck over, and then let's build some nice stairs going down there. And let's build these posts and build walls underneath over here and tie all that stuff in. And they got the same stucco guys to do everything, the same guys to do the rails. I don't know how they got this done without an inspector ever looking at this area, because mark my words, no inspector would have inspected what I saw down there. So the question then becomes, okay, has it been disclosed or has it not been disclosed on the closing papers? And if not, what can be done about it? And what other steps can happen? You know, the other step that I could do, I have a set of plans, and I'm going to look at the plans. I have not looked at them yet. I wanted to talk to you first on the different types of things that possibly might go wrong when you buy a house, and if it's not been disclosed. This area, you know, I'm not even sure why there was no access underneath here to then be able to walk underneath. Because if you've got areas in your house underneath that are accessible from point to point, you have got to cut holes underneath to supply access. Now maybe that OSB plywood that was all on here was for shear or something to keep it from earthquakes, shaking or whatever, but you still have to have some area cut open with a door access, or just cut between studs. And the same thing right in here, where this wall is here underneath. There was no access to go underneath the stairs there. You can't do that, because then, see, we can't go back to our termite inspection on the house, say, hey, you missed it. They did not miss it because they could not gain access into this area. And all termite inspections done, they always cover themselves. Hey, if we can't gain access, we're not responsible for those areas that we cannot gain access to, blah, blah, blah. Same thing with the homeowner's inspection. When we bought the house, we had a homeowner, a home inspector, certified licensed home inspector, come out and check everything to see what types of things could be wrong with the house before we put the offer in, or made some exceptions or exclusions or some variances, $5,000, $10,000. We add the right to add onto the house if we find different things from the homeowner's inspection that need to be repaired, this, that, and the other thing. Okay, but the homeowner's inspection, he's going to say the same thing. Hey, I couldn't gain access to this area. I wish on the homeowner's inspection he might have included, hey, we couldn't get underneath that deck. It looked like there was some variances in the alignment of the tiles. They don't look, something looks suspicious underneath here. It wasn't this bad before. This has sunk down in the last couple months more than what it was before. Before it was only, you know, it was only a little bit, and I thought it might have been something underneath the tiles that could be fixed, not underneath the floor. Not that the floor had failed. Had the homeowner's inspection report said we can't gain access underneath this area, then I would have been suspicious of this. I would have insisted, hey, somebody cut a hole through here so we can take a look under here. Cut a hole through this other thing so we can take a look under there. Had I have known what I know now, okay? So based on this, maybe you can gain some knowledge and experience when you get ready to buy a house, when you get ready to sell a house, the types of things somebody else might look at. You're trying to sell a house, maybe the new buyer is going to ask you those types of questions. You got to have answers for that. And so then the question becomes, well, I'm going to look on the set of plans. I don't know if it's the approved set of plans that the inspector signed off of. I had requested that when we purchased the house, and all I got was, hey, we'll provide you a set of plans. Look at that and share the findings to you and what we find on that too. Okay, so stick around. There's more to learn on my channel on how to fix things around your house, and you know, when I get ready to decide how to make these repairs, I'm sure I'll make videos of that too. It's going to be very interesting for you to see what all it's going to be entailed to get this area taken care of, and whether or not we feel it necessary to replace these 4x12 stairs as well. Hopefully, maybe those can be saved. We'll see. And all the different things that are going to have to go in to tying the flooring back into here, reframing this properly, and tying in where the floor membrane is underneath these tiles. I'm hoping that these tiles we can remove those, and I don't believe they're glued down or anything. I think they're just laid down flat tight. Okay, side by side by side by side. If they are glued down, we might not be able to bring them up, and if so, some of these could crack. And so then we may have to get some tiles out here to replace the ones that are cracked here. But we're going to have to pull these up, these four at least, this one, this one, this one, and this one, in order to tie in the floor membrane, so that when we get this all done, when it rains out here, the water's still going to be able to flow all the way out to that location. That was the big problem to this whole thing. Had they have done the floor membrane properly, even though how the framing was built under there and stuff, it probably would have held. And I could have made a determination, oh, okay, looks a little suspect in certain areas. I'll put some joist hangers under there, or put another 2x6 next to one of the existing 2x6s, and put some joist hangers under a couple that looked kind of questionable or something like that. But had the flooring membrane been tied in properly, we wouldn't have this issue at all. Okay, so there you go. Well, I hope you learned something on this particular video of this series. Keep watching these videos and find out how we get it fixed.